Welcome, everyone. This is the Abundant Investor Podcast, and we are Beth and Christine, your hosts. We are here to show you how you can live your rich life right now with the power of an abundance mindset and tools the wealthy have used for years that are accessible to the rest of us. Things like real estate investing and using the powerful benefits of life insurance. We're so glad you're here. Now let's dive in. Hi, everybody. It's Christine from The Abundant Investor. Welcome back. We're so excited to be with you guys. This week is an episode that incorporates mindset into making some big leaps in your personal finances. So we are huge advocates, as you know, of women taking control and ownership of their finances. And we also are very well aware and experienced in coaching women through making big changes because we know it is not easy. And this is something that we don't typically learn as we're growing up. We don't necessarily learn the personal development tools, the beliefs, and the changes that we get to make in order to make these big leaps, to grow our wealth, to feel more secure, to create generational wealth, all the things. So today we're going to dive into these topics as they pertain to finances and real estate. And I cannot wait to get started.
It's so great. It's so great. And we get to really highlight the skill set that Christine brings to the table here, being an executive coach, having experience coaching people through all kinds of changes in their life and moving into what is their best self. And so this is going to be able to demonstrate, not only are we thinking about the transaction, the real estate transaction, the life insurance, the financial piece of it, it's much bigger than that. It's like, how do you get to a point where you get to create a vision of a life that you really want and then put a plan in place to move toward that? And it sounds easy, but I don't think it's all that easy or more people would be doing it. So with that said, Christine, I want to ask you about a hunch that I have, and maybe you can, in your experience, you can tell us more a little about this. My hunch is that oftentimes people don't really have a vision for what they want in life. They don't necessarily let themselves stop and dream big about what would feel good for them. I think we get, especially as women and moms, we get sort of busy with getting through the day and pushing the peanut off the hill as a way, and not necessarily taking the step back to say, what's important to me and what would feel really good for me in my career or my finances or anything like that. And I get the impression that women especially have a hard time getting to that vision for themselves.
You're absolutely right, Beth. So in my experience, not just professionally as a coach to a lot of women, also as a friend and as just in my day-to-day life. Now, because I'm so awake to it, I see it all the time. And because I've intentionally done that work, I know that you're right. It's not necessarily easy. And it's so easy to get caught up in our lives as they are. And we're always putting other people first. So do we lose sight? 100%. And I think the mistake we make a lot is that we think we have a vision or we think we know, okay, I know what I want in my life. And we're so limited in how big that is. We really keep it small because it feels safe. It feels like we can put ourselves last that way and it feels comfortable. So we might have a vision, but it's not really the juicy, good, big stuff that at some point, we've all had bigger dreams and visions than we're realizing at the moment. We just do. It's the nature of life. And it's so beautiful because a dream or a vision is inspired by what we see around us externally. And then it's tapping into the well internally of what we know we are here on this earth to do. And I believe 100% that everybody has bigger purpose and the ability to get outside of the quote unquote box that they're in to reach beyond. We just lose sight of it so much of the time. And then there's all these made up constraints around it being scary or too big or unsafe. And so we keep ourselves small, and the conditioning keeps us small a lot too. And we really get today to dive into this to help inspire people to realize Do you want to invest in real estate, but it feels out of reach? Like, I know a lot of people that it's not a financial issue. It's more of a mindset. It's a fear around, do I trust myself with the money? Do I trust myself with this strategy? And I think in our society, because for so long the patriarchy has planted this way of being that the men are managing the finances. We just talked about, women of our mom's generation, not a lot of them not having life insurance.
Yeah.
So there are these things, like legitimate things that have happened in society that have kept us from realizing bigger dreams financially. And I really want women to trust themselves and to feel like they can go out and make decisions. Even if they're in a partnership, they can make decisions for themselves, for the partnership. And one thing I want to dive into today is how women get to lead in this area. And we don't necessarily, we have the power, we have the potential. We absolutely can make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that there's clearly been a positive shift in this direction where women taking more control of the finances, at least getting more educated about it, but we're still light years from where we need to be on this. And, God forbid you find yourself in a position where whether it's death or divorce or something where your feet are forced to the fire of learning this, why not make it part of your vision and make it part of your plan to really not only understand but take some leadership role in your partnership or just in your life, even if you're single. So with your work, when we talk about vision, I think it sounds easy, right? Oh, I'll just like write down on a piece of paper my 5 goals or something. What's some of the things that people can do to really help them tap into what's their vision or what are their big dreams?
Mm-hmm. So the first thing I think every woman needs around this is some space to create and get still with themselves and get really clear on what feels like, remembering whether you've had a period in your life where in this lifetime, where you've remembered it or not. I think we all have this inherent wisdom in us, especially females, because it's a feminine energy that has been passed down of what we really want and what would really feel good, not necessarily for our kids or our partners or the people we care for, but to us. What really would feel awesome? And it's going to be unique and different for everybody. And I think we're so bombarded with messages today. It takes going inward. And that's where I love meditation for this. And if that sounds daunting, let's call it spending time alone and quieting the mind. So it can be taking a walk in the woods. It can be pouring a bubble bath. I mean, heck, you could have the house to yourself in the middle of the day and have an hour at lunch and just go pour yourself a bubble bath with some candles and just give yourself that time and call it meditation time. We've got to learn to reframe the way that we think about things and think about life, because the frame that we're in a lot of the time it can be a very limiting one.
Yeah.
And that to me, that's the thing that feels the worst, is to feel limited. And I want women to feel unlimited, and I want them to feel like they can remember what would feel so good. And sometimes, and sometimes that does require a coach to help you get into the right space to create the vision and give you the right prompts. So I love, and I'm happy to even create something for our audience, journal prompts to get you thinking about and remembering what it is that you truly desire in this lifetime. So
I love that.
Yeah, I had a huge aha around this. Is how I got started in investing in real estate. I had a huge aha around this, realizing I wanted a house by the beach. I wanted a house in Cape Cod. And I thought maybe in 5 or 10 years I'll have one. And 4 months later, we had the keys in our hand to a beach house.
I love it.
I truly believe whatever you want is within reach.
Yeah, I love it. So the idea of taking time, creating space. It's funny. I tell this story a lot. When I first took a job, I think it was back with Coldwell Banker, and I had to fill out a personality profile. And one of the questions was, do you like to be alone? And I laughed and I said, I have no idea. I am never, as a working mom with a 5 minute commute, when was I ever alone? Never, And so I think that that's really smart. And I think acknowledging sometimes that meditation can be overwhelming. Like, where do you start if you're not somebody that's meditating? I love the idea of just scheduling some time to do, taking a walk outside. That's one of my favorite things. Sticking in some music and walking, by yourself, or even, grabbing a friend, just something that you're doing for yourself. I love it, whether it's a bath, but I think starting with creating that space, and then, and not just once, but throughout the week, so you have some time to clear the mind, to start thinking about what would feel so good. So I love that. And then, the idea of maybe us putting some prompts in the show notes is great. Journaling. Christine, you were my coach. You got me into the habit of journaling, something that I kind of always aspired to do, but I never really did it. And it's been almost 3 years, and I still have the habit of daily journaling. And it's just so great to just start the day by saying, what are some of the things I'm grateful for? And what are some of the things that I aspire to? And that space is not, it doesn't have to be in the morning if you have young kids and your mornings are really busy, or maybe you set your alarm for 10 minutes early in the morning. But everybody, it's just like working out. You can always find the time if you, and it may be going to bed earlier and getting up earlier and all that kind of great stuff. So I love that.
That's been one of the most powerful tools. Yeah. It's been one of the most powerful tools for my clients, especially those who resisted journaling and resisting meditating. If they start journaling, especially when they feel stuck, it literally, I was on the phone with a client yesterday and he shared with me that it unlocked some new ways of seeing things. I.e. visioning, right?
Yeah.
So exactly, like the writing is really powerful, and we think it's like this nice thing that, we're keeping a record of our day. No, this is what I mean by journaling is opening the journal and writing down the things that you feel stuck on, but then, like you said, writing down the things you're grateful for, and then the future statements, which I know you do too, like me. How do you want to, who's the person that you want to become?
Yeah.
Because this is how we start to reprogram that change, and that change is always available. It's so powerful. I've studied with Dr. Joe Dispenza, and this is the core of his work is we can change our personal reality by changing our personality. We have to get clear on what it is, though. What would feel so good? Do you want to write a New York Times bestseller? Do you want to spend more time volunteering and less time, at your kid's school and less time working? Do you want to make 6 figures next year? Do you want to leave your corporate job? Do you want to buy your first 2-family? Let's get clear on what feels really good.
Yeah, I love it. All right, so that's the first step is this making the time, letting yourself give some thought to what would feel good, what would be your vision. What's the next thing that tends to trip people up? What happens, once you see that, you can do that. Sometimes people can do that and still not execute on those visions or really manifest them. What do you think is the next thing that tends to trip people up?
Okay, so we've got to take action, and every action we make is a vote for the person that we want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So if that is true, we've got to be conscious of our actions and be willing to step outside what is in our normal routine to become the next version of ourselves. Mm-hmm. So this can mean we realize that we have a dream about buying a second house or an investment property. Okay, what's a next feasible action step to that? Well, we can go on Zillow and we can start to look at, or we can go on the MLS listings that Beth and I can send you, or any realtor can send you, and have someone set up these alerts for you to look at multifamily properties in the area that you're thinking about. Call a realtor. Most realtors will talk to you and give you their advice and their thoughts around an investment property. You want to find someone who has experience with that, of course, and start having the conversation. Find a local meetup, go to that. It can be easy in the beginning, and at some point, then we get to make the leap. And so, and I know you've been reading Gay Hendricks' The Big Leap again,
Yep.
and listening to it again. That's a really great book. At some point, in order to change, we've got to step outside the person that we are right now, and it's going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to feel uncomfortable because our brains are trying to keep us safe. And it's the amygdala. It's this old part of our brain that used to be super helpful when we were cavemen and the saber-toothed tiger might have been coming around the corner. So we keep ourselves really safe and we don't go someplace where we don't know is safe. Now, in today's society, there's a lot more safety built in, and our amygdala, while at times is helpful, a lot of times gets in the way because it tells us it's like a red flag whenever we're going to change. This is uncomfortable. Don't move towards it because you might get killed. It's not true anymore.
Right.
It's just not true. So what we need to do is recognize that and sit in the discomfort and move through the discomfort, not avoid it. No, don't numb it out with alcohol or drugs. You've got to feel it and you've got to move through it. And this is, again, where journaling, I was saying with a client getting stuck yesterday, this is where journaling and like getting to the bottom of like, what's really coming up for me. I was at our investment property last week, and I was in the middle of like a dirty house while it's totally under construction. We're renovating the kitchen. We've got painters on the outside exterior who they start coming in to use the bath. Like, it was just a lot going on, and it was messy, and I felt uncomfortable being in the house, but not just because of that, but because things were starting to be a little bit challenging on some fronts. And then all I could think of, I had to stay an extra day, and then I came home and I said, okay, I just want to come home and like sleep in my clean bedroom, and and then we get a letter in the mail that we've got to deal with something with the city, and that came up out of the blue that we've actually never anticipated. And then something else came up with a contractor, and it's like, oh my gosh, like this is uncomfortable, and I've got to move through it, and I've got to have the mindset that that I'm on the right path. Believe me, there were times when I said, what did we get ourselves into? That's the discomfort that comes with doing something new. We've never invested in a property that's this far away. We've never dealt with this geographic location and the way things are done there, right?
Yeah.
And the only way we're going to learn is if we take the messy action and let go of perfection and learn as we go.
I love it. And I think what I'm hearing you say is to trust yourself, and to understand that it's going to be messy and difficult and challenging, and anything that you do in life, when it's if it was easy, everybody would do it, and I think that out of our biggest challenges it becomes our biggest growth. And that all takes trusting yourself. Another thing I heard you say is, it's going back to like visioning, right? We get addicted to being busy. We get addicted to just being busy because it's easy to be busy, right? And you think, oh, well, I'm busy, I must be productive. And I think that what we're talking about here is taking some of the time out to be busy, and then taking some of the time out to trust yourself and to stop being addicted to the ease of what's comfortable and push yourself to do something that's uncomfortable. And that requires you to be able to trust your intuition, to trust your gut, to look back on like the why are you doing this? What was the purpose of doing this? I'm sure you asked yourself that last week, right, Christine? Like, why are we doing this? And circling back to that, it's like, oh, okay, the stronger your vision is, the stronger your why. I think the more that's going to help you when things get messy, and then the more it's going to help you to plow through.
You're so right, Beth. I couldn't agree with you more there. And the trust yourself piece is so, so important. And listen, I just want to say too, especially to women, we all have intuition. It's a feminine energy. So a lot of women tend to have more intuition. And we just have to remember that there's this innate knowledge that we're born with. It's not through conditioning, it's not something that we learn in school. You have instincts for a reason, and they are part of your divine being. They're part of like what came in the package when you came here, and
Mhm.
we've just forgotten them. And so again, meditation, finding like-minded women who you can talk about this stuff with. I light up when you introduced me to someone, Beth, recently who I connected with, and we just like, we could feel the vibration was high, and like we're like literally vibing because everything I said, she got, everything she said, I got, like we were just on the same wavelength. And so you'll find your people, and you've got to find those people and support one another. And if you don't know where to find them, hire a coach, because through a good coach, they will introduce you to these types of people in new worlds and open new doors where you find this. And then through that, it will help you to trust yourself more.
I love it. I love it. The coaching program that I went through was called Energy Leadership. And
Mm,
it's exactly what you're talking about. They teach that there's 7 levels of energy, with one being the lowest, sort of like, oh, poor me, everything like Eeyore, right? And
yeah,
7
victim
being
mindset.
like the enlightened Buddha, right? And
Ah,
what's closest to 7 is 6, and that's the person that can really trust their intuition. It's like the top of the chain of energy is being able to trust yourself and your intuition. And, in the bottom of that chain is, feeling like you have no control. Poor me, everything bad happens to me. And then
yeah,
one step up from that is everybody's a jerk. And the third step, where I think where people live and hang out the most, I know this to be true, is it's fine. Status
it's,
quo. Everything's okay.
yeah.
I'm
I
fine.
should be grateful. I should be grateful for
Yeah.
what I have. I shouldn't
Yeah.
want more.
Yeah, and we're saying let's blow the doors off that. I mean, let's blow the doors off that. Let's get to
Let's
that
go.
level 5, level 6. Where you're trusting your intuition. I like, before we got on this call, I said, I built this home office that I love, and when we built it when my husband and I renovated the office, and our builder Kevin was like, should we put a door on it? Do you need an office? You don't work from home. This is prior to me working from home. Even it was 2020, I was still in the office, and I said, yeah, I need an office with a door because I want to work from home. And sure enough, here I am working from home with an office and a door. And I said that I have the office now. I need the job. And I think hiring you as my coach got me to that in a path that I never would have ever been able to predict. Never would have predicted. But your coaching allowed me to think big, B, trust myself. And then the hardest part for me was to sit back and receive. And
Oh,
it's still
yes.
a challenge, but I think that that's sort of the next step, right? Is, taking aligned action, and then, you know, trusting your instincts.
Oh, I love everything you just said. And I love how you took the leap to say, I want the office, even though at the time you didn't have that job that you needed the home office for. You were setting the conditions for the next version of yourself, who was this entrepreneur that's going to work from home. And like that's exactly what it takes, right? It's the same way I sold my house without knowing where I was going in a really tough market. I
Mm-hmm.
totally trusted I was going to find the house. I completely put my trust. And I think you have like you get to find those things that you're unwavering about. For me, it's easy now with
Yep.
all things real estate. So it's like that was the sign to me that I'm meant to be investing in real estate and even getting my license and becoming an agent. I meant to do that because it all feels so natural and easy. And I was talking to a friend yesterday who's been going down a road in one career, and she wants to launch something else. And she told me what that new idea was. And I said, oh my gosh, and she said, it feels so easy to do this. And I said, of course. And you are like, you say it and you own it. Like that is who you are. This new personality that she's talking about, this new vision that she wants to create for her life. She's already embodying all of it. And sometimes it's the thing that's really easy for us. People come to me all the time and say, I'm not really sure what I'm meant to be doing. What's easy? What can you teach other people if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to go work somewhere in corporate and you want to feel the ease of it? What's natural, because we lose sight that that's something other people will pay us for and will benefit from. We can create value around that for people. So
I love
all of
it.
that is really, really good.
I love it. And the last few podcasts, we've talked about some of the tangible, like what's happening in the real estate market. And we've done podcasts on life insurance and all of that kind of tangible kind of financial planning and the markets and all that kind of thing. And we really wanted you to get a sense today on what it's like to work with us, and that there's a whole third aspect to working with us. And it's this whole mindset shift and having somebody to talk to about it. Like it's not always, and that's where having a coach and just scheduling some time to say, how can you help me get my vision clear? How can I know I kind of want to have an investment. We just spoke to someone. They said, I don't know if I want a short-term rental, a mid-term rental, or a long-term rental, but I do feel like I want to have some real estate investing. Well, let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation and a little back and forth on that and help you to create a vision and then help you to have the confidence to trust yourself to take aligned action against that vision. I love it.
Yes, it's so good. And we're happy to do that. It's just part of our MO. It's not something you're going to pay for. It's something that comes with working with us in the capacity of buying and selling real estate, getting advice on investment property, buying whole life insurance or a life insurance product with us. It's part of what we just embody, and we want to change the way we do business. We don't want it to be transactional. We want it to be a relationship, and we actually want to inspire you. We want to inspire you to dream bigger and use these tools, whether it's a house or an insurance policy, to create a new reality for yourself that's aligned with this level 6, level 7 energy that I just love, like getting out of the status quo. And there's something else I want to say about this. And this, I think everything we've said, it doesn't pertain just to women. This one is for the women. A lot of times we are waiting for our partners to take the lead on things. And I think a lot of times we're not even aware. It's a subconscious thing. We're saying, well, I'd love to invest in real estate, or I'd love to get this policy, or whatever it is. And my husband just doesn't seem to be getting behind it. Here's my advice. Get clear on what you want and why you want it, and start taking steps in that direction. I did the exact thing when we bought our first investment property. I started taking action to the point where I drove to go see a property an hour away without my partner. It wasn't behind his back. I just said, I saw this property. I have a vision. I want to go see it. And then after I saw it, I said, oh my gosh, I said, you and I can make this place amazing. Our skills are so complementary. This would be so much fun. And all of a sudden now, by the way, you just switched careers. So your weekends are free. And so we have the time to improve this property a lot ourselves. And we went and saw it together, and he got on board. And so that's an example of me leading. And I think we have such a capability as females, and we're doing it all the time. We just don't give ourselves or get credit for it from society. We are natural leaders, and it's what we need. It's what the world needs, is to take action in the step in the direction of our dreams. And our partners, like the partners that we married, that we wanted to create a life with, they actually want us to lead too, whether they're saying it out loud or not either.
Yeah.
They don't want to do the leading on everything financially related. So I feel like that's a really important point just to bring home for people.
I love it. It's like giving yourself that permission in a really positive way. And in any relationship, it's a long-term relationship, right? You're with a partner it could be for 30, 40, 50 years. It's nice to have a little give and go, right? First you lead and I'll lead, and then you take the leadership role on this topic, and let me take the leadership role on this topic. And even with finances, you can take turns, or step into that the power of your vision. And it's a really beautiful thing. So I thank you for sharing that story. I think it's great. I think it is aspirational for people to think of their finances that way. It doesn't have to be this drudgery, right? It gets to
Right.
be something that can be really fun.
Absolutely.
Love it. So if people want to, if anybody listening, in our show notes, we're going to have a link to set up an introductory call. Hop on there. We'd love to spend some time learning about what's important to you and how we can help you, whether it's, selling the property that you're in now, making an investment in real estate, getting your finances on track. We'd love to do it. So that's a great way to work with us, and we also will have a link to some journal prompts for you, and that will be
Absolutely.
free. You can just click to that. There's no charge for that, and there's no charge. The introductory meeting, again, it's complimentary. Let's just hop on a call and learn what's important to you.
Yeah. And if you want further help from there, there's a variety of ways that we can support you, whether it's teaching you about investment property, life insurance, taking you to go look at houses. If you're in our area, or referring you to someone in our nationwide network with 100,000 different agents. So just let us know if feel free to set up the discovery call, not even knowing exactly what it is, because you're still crystallizing the vision. So we love it, and we love connecting with amazing humans. So thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Abundant Investor Podcast and learned something new. We would love to hear from you. And if you did get something from this episode, please subscribe and rate this podcast so more people can find it and live their rich lives too. And remember, an abundant mindset means there's always plenty to go around, and through giving, we receive.